Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Costello and I'm a project officer in the WHS legislation project team. Today I will be talking about some of the amendments to the model WHS regulations for adoption in Western Australia. After its approval by the WA Parliament, the Work Health and Safety Act 2020 was assented to by the Governor in November of last year. However, the WHS laws will not commence until the supporting regulations for general, mining, and petroleum and geothermal energy operations are finalised. The government is committed to enacting the WHS Act and its supporting legislation in January 2022. Some key changes that you can expect to see in the WHS regulations include new or amended definitions. Of note, confined spaces will generally be subject to the requirements of Part 4.3 confined spaces of the WHS regulations, with the exception of excavation work in an underground mine. For example, working within a tank in a mine will require a confined space entry permit. This definition has been amended accordingly. The definition of container in the model WHS regulations did not include the following upper limits. And so the definition in the WHS regulations has been amended so that it is consistent with the definition of container in Regulation 5.1 of the current OSH regulations. Containers with solids or liquids higher than the specified thresholds will be a matter for dangerous goods legislation. Part 4.7, General Electrical Safety in Workplaces and Energised Electrical Equipment, is not suitable in the West Australian regulatory environment. So this regulation will be amended to adopt the current approach to electrical safety in the OSH regulations. In addition, the change introduced by the government in 2018 requiring a building's electrical installation to be de-energised before work is done in the roof space will also be included in the WHS regulations. The government decided that the Dangerous Goods Safety Act 2004 would continue to operate, with a commitment for a review within 2 years of proclamation of the WHS Act, and that Part 7 of the Model WHS Act, relating to the right of entry, would not be adopted. Where there is any duplication between the Dangerous Goods and WHS Acts, regulators and demurs will work cooperatively to ensure that a consistent approach is taken. That is, that there is no additional work to comply with the duty as it relates to dangerous goods under dangerous goods legislation, or as it relates to a substance that is also a hazardous chemical. There have been a number of deletions as a consequence of removing Chapter 9 major hazard facilities from the WHS regulations. For example, the definitions for major incident modification and packaged hazardous chemicals. Major hazard facilities will continue to be regulated under existing dangerous goods laws and not regulated under the WHS laws. Matters relating to entry will, instead, continue to be regulated pursuant to the Industrial Relations Act 1979. Consequently, the definition of WHS entry permit in the model regulations has been replaced with the defined term IR Entry Authority for consistency with the WHS Act. Chapter 3, General Risk and Workplace Management, includes some new clauses. Exposure standards for dust, for example. The regulations will include a duty for the PCBU, a person conducting a business or undertaking, at a workplace to ensure that exposure standards for dust are not exceeded. This is intended to cover inhalable and respirable dust that does not have a specified exposure standard in the workplace exposure standards for airborne contaminants. There will also be a new part or division relating to tobacco smoke. This part or division will specify the measures to be taken to protect workers from tobacco smoke. For example, requiring that secondhand smoke exposure to tobacco or nicotine products are to be reduced as far as reasonably practicable. This includes specific elements of the existing protection from tobacco smoke clauses in the OSH regulations and also the mine safety and inspection regulations. The definition of enclosed workplace will apply to all underground mines, underground workings, refuge chambers, and shafts. There will be transitional measures implemented for mines. Licensing of demolition work in Chapter 4, Hazardous Work, has been amended to adopt the existing demolition provisions in the OSH regulations, but with some variations. For example, 3 yearly renewals for demolition licenses, and adding the type and nature of the structure that can be demolished, and the demolition techniques that can be employed as matters that may constitute a condition on a license. Chapter 5, Plants and Structures, has also had a few updates. Namely, the reference to the Australian standard for safe use of lasers in building and construction industry has been amended to reference the most current version of the standard. And in relation to scaffolds, the regulation will include the existing requirement in the OSH regulations for compliance with the current version of the Australian and New Zealand standard for scaffolds, predominantly relating to the management of hazards posed by specific types of scaffolds after construction is complete. Thank you for listening today, and I encourage you to please look at the available links and subscribe to our newsletter for further information.